Welcome back to the Secondhand Overland. We're here to do our top 5, but there's 2 of us. So, do you want to pick your top 5?
Yeah.
And then I can pick my top 5?
Yeah.
And we can see how they stack up.
Yeah.
Alright, ready to let those whistles blast?
Yep.
Let's do it! Enjoy!
Pistons.
Coming in at number 5 is one that we both love, and for different reasons, I think. This is one of my favorites because this is one of the first projects that I actually took on, and it's an early engine of ours. This is 4500, and this is a conventional locomotive that I converted to Lion Chief because he loves these Pistons. And, fittingly, that's his nickname. My son lovingly calls this engine Pistons. And honestly, this engine might have missed his top 5 had I not reminded him that we had it in the roster, because we've just been playing with so many other engines that Pistons kind of got forgotten about a little bit. But as I've learned while making this video, he kind of loves them all, and so whatever is kind of relevant is kind of his favorite. But that's okay, because Pistons is a great one to share at the number 5 spot. Even though this is a entry-level Lion Chief kind of engine, it's got great details on it, it's a strong runner, and I love using it around the layout. Coming in at number 4 for my son is this Pennsylvania K4. This has been called the Baby K4 because it's a semi-scale version of the big scaled-up ones, but yeah, it's a great engine to run, and my son loves using this with his Lion Chief remote. Now, this is also able to be controlled by Bluetooth. It can even be controlled by my TMCC controller, so this one's super versatile. And it goes great with our growing collection of Pennsylvania Railroad cars because even though we're UP fanboys, I do have a bit of a soft spot for the good old Pennsylvania Railroad. Plus, my son fittingly calls this one the Pennsylvania Flyer because this kind of is reminiscent of our first engine, which ironically lives on in Pistons. This is my number 4 pick though. This is a GP7, and I didn't really mean for a diesel to make the list, but when I was going through my favorite engines, I wasn't just going off of my heart, I was going off of how good of a runner, how nice these are to operate. And honestly, this is one of the, if not the easiest, smoothest, just most solid running engine that we have on the layout. And it's great. It's got electrocouplers on the front and the rear. So even though the GP7 isn't technically a, switchyard engine, I use it a lot as such because it does great in there. Coming in at number 3 for my son is this Legacy Lion Master Rio Grande Challenger that we got for Christmas, and it's pretty awesome. This is the first engine we've ever purchased that has whistle steam, and even though steam is a little bit finicky for us to work with, it's just been really cool firing up the steam on this thing and getting it going. It also has some really nice features aside from the whistle steam, like it's got this ability to top off the water that he loves to simulate with our Menards water tower that we have over here. It makes the noises, he says we've topped off the water. It's pretty cool. This is probably one of the more interactive engines that we have just because of the features that are built into this legacy-controlled Lion Master Challenger. So it's a great blend of really nice high-end features, but with the semi-scale size and ability to run around our tighter turns. I also just really like the green scheme on this Challenger. All black locomotives get really boring after a while, especially if you're a Union Pacific fan like us. There's tons of black locomotives. So the green on this really helps break all that up. The number 3 spot for me is occupied by the T1 Duplex, and a big part of that is I just love how this engine looks. In fact, if it wasn't for this engine's looks, it may not have even made the list because this engine has had a couple problems, but they've all been worked out for the most part. It's not the smoothest runner I have, it doesn't have the coolest features ever, but it absolutely looks killer. Even with that massive gap between the tender and the cab, it's just a fantastic looking engine, and I adore the T1. I just can't help but just sit back, relax, and watch this thing run around the layout. It's so great to watch, and I love it so much. Coming in at the number 2 spot for both my son and myself is this big boy. And honestly, this would be his number 1 had we not just recently had Christmas, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But regardless, big boy's a big deal around here. We love going to see the real thing when it comes through town. 4014. I would love to have 4014 on the layout, but we've got 4006 here. And either way, regardless of which number big boy it is, it's just a sight to behold. Even in this semi-scale format, Lionel really nailed the proportions on this Lion Master Series big boy. And this is a legacy Lion Master as well, so it's got nicer dialogue, it's got better Odyssey 2 control, and it just looks and runs great. Honestly, have no complaints about the big boy. I almost wonder if this isn't my number one just because I feel like it's a lot of people's number one, and so I tend to go for slightly more obscure things. But either way, 4006 is epic, and we just love hooking up the longest freight trains we possibly can to this thing, because even when I've got every freight car I have imaginable behind it on the layout, it doesn't feel like enough. Rolling in at number one for me is this Challenger, and not just any Challenger. This is 3976, Union Pacific's first Greyhound scheme engine. This would have done passenger service in the Pacific Northwest, and I absolutely adore running this engine around the layout. Even though I don't think I have the right passenger cars for it, I would love to track some down. This thing's just an absolute treat to run. Even though it's only Odyssey 1, it's still pretty smooth in the control department, and the sounds, it doesn't have the greatest sound set. Like, it doesn't have a lot of options on it, honestly. It's an old TMCC style, but the whistle on this thing is hauntingly awesome. I adore the whistle on this Challenger. I actually think this Challenger's got a better whistle than our Lion Master Big Boy, but it's so great running this thing around the layout, and it looks really mean with these smoke shields that I actually put on. Lionel didn't put them on this model for some reason, so I made sure to do this one right because I love this engine so much. Coming in at number one, my son's top pick, and honestly the one that should really matter here, is Zoo Train. And we call it that because Union Pacific number 119, which is famous for its role at Promontory Summit, also happened to make a replica of this engine for the Omaha Zoo. And we go there all the time and see this engine there, and my son lights up every time he sees this engine running around the zoo. This isn't the most impressive engine to run. It can't haul a whole lot. It's just a Lion Chief engine. The sound's a little hokey, but it's great and he loves it. So those are our top 5 picks from our Lionel collection. What'd you guys think? Are there other engines that you know that we have that you'd wished had made the list? What are your top 5 Lionel engines that you guys own? Leave us a comment down below, let us know, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. And yeah, there's more in the works, so stick around.